In the vast tapestry of the Bible, the story of creation and the earliest generations of humanity unfolds with a captivating blend of divine providence and human drama. While the narratives of Adam, Eve, Cain, and Abel often take center stage, there is another figure whose importance has long been overshadowed: Seth, the third son of Adam and Eve. Seth's story may not be as well known as that of his more infamous brothers, but his role in the preservation of humanity is nothing short of crucial. In a world torn apart by the violence and sin that followed the fall of man, Seth's life and legacy serve as a beacon of hope, reminding us of the enduring power of faith, perseverance, and the unbreakable bond between God and his creation. To truly understand the significance of Seth, we must first revisit the events that set the stage for his pivotal appearance. The Bible's account of the creation of Adam and Eve, their life in the Garden of Eden, and the tragic events that led to their expulsion are well known. However, it is the aftermath of this fall from grace that sheds light on the crucial role that Seth would come to play. After the murder of Abel by Cain, Adam and Eve were left to grapple with the devastating consequences of sin. The loss of their beloved son must have weighed heavily upon their hearts, but it was in this moment of profound grief that God's plan for the restoration of humanity began to unfold. The Bible tells us that Adam and Eve had another son, whom they named Seth. In Genesis 4 verse 25, we read, "And Adam knew his wife again, and she bore a son and called his name Seth, for she said, God has appointed for me another offspring instead of Abel, for Cain killed him." This simple statement belies the deep significance of Seth's birth and the role he would come to play in the unfolding of God's divine will. As the third son of Adam and Eve, Seth represents a new beginning, a chance for the human race to start anew and fulfill the purpose for which it was created. Unlike Cain, who was consumed by jealousy and rage, leading him to commit the first murder, Seth is presented as a righteous and godly man, one who would carry on the legacy of his father Adam and ensure the continuation of the human lineage. The Bible goes on to tell us that Seth began to call on the name of the Lord, Genesis 4 verse 26, a clear indication of his devotion to God and his willingness to walk in the path of righteousness. This act of worship and reverence would become a hallmark of Seth's life and the lives of his descendants, setting the stage for the eventual redemption of humanity. It is important to note that the significance of Seth's role extends far beyond the immediate aftermath of the fall of man. As the generations passed, and the lineage of Adam continued, Seth's descendants would play a critical role in preserving the knowledge and worship of the one true God, even as the world around them descended into deeper levels of sin and depravity. One of the most notable examples of Seth's enduring legacy can be found in the story of Noah and the Great Flood. In the book of Genesis, we are told that as the world became increasingly wicked, the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intention of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Genesis 6 verse 5. In response to this, God decided to destroy the world with a great flood, sparing only Noah and his family, who were found to be righteous in God's sight. But what is the connection between Seth and the story of Noah? It lies in the unbroken lineage that connects the two men. In Genesis 5, we are presented with a detailed genealogy that traces the descendants of Adam through Seth, ultimately leading to Noah. This lineage not only highlights the importance of Seth's role in preserving the human race but also underscores the fact that it was through his descendants that God would ultimately fulfill his plan for the redemption of mankind. As the generations passed, the descendants of Seth continued to walk in the ways of the Lord, preserving the knowledge and worship of the one true God. This dedication to their faith would prove to be instrumental in the survival of humanity, as the world around them descended into darkness and depravity. It is important to note that the story of Seth and his descendants is not merely a dry recitation of names and dates. Instead, it is a testament to the power of faith, the resilience of the human spirit, and the unwavering love and guidance of God. Throughout the generations, the descendants of Seth faced countless challenges and temptations, yet they remained steadfast in their devotion to the Lord, ensuring that the light of God's truth would never be extinguished. One of the most poignant examples of this can be found in the life of Enoch, a direct descendant of Seth. The Bible tells us that Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him, Genesis 5 verse 24. This enigmatic statement points to Enoch's deep and intimate relationship with the divine, a relationship that transcended the physical realm and ultimately led to his translation to heaven without experiencing death. Enoch's story serves as a powerful reminder of the rewards that come to those who walk in the ways of the Lord. His life and ascension to heaven not only inspire us to strive for a deeper connection with God but also demonstrate the enduring legacy of Seth's righteous lineage. As the generations continued to pass, the descendants of Seth faced increasingly daunting challenges. The world around them grew ever more wicked, and the temptation to abandon their faith and embrace the ways of the world must have been ever present. Yet, time and again, they remained steadfast, holding fast to the teachings and principles that had been passed down to them through the generations. It is this unwavering commitment to their faith that ultimately led to the survival of humanity during the Great Flood. As the waters rose and the world was consumed by the judgment of God, it was the righteous lineage of Seth that provided the vessel for the continuation of the human race. Through the obedience and faithfulness of Noah, a direct descendant of Seth, the world was spared from total destruction, and the promise of a new beginning was fulfilled. The story of Noah and the flood is a powerful testament to the enduring legacy of Seth. It demonstrates that even in the face of overwhelming adversity and the darkest of circumstances, the light of God's truth can never be extinguished. Through the faithful stewardship of Seth's descendants, the knowledge and worship of the one true God were preserved, ensuring that humanity would have the opportunity to fulfill its divine purpose. But the impact of Seth's legacy extends far beyond the events of the flood. As the generations continued to unfold, the descendants of Seth played a crucial role in shaping the course of human history, serving as the conduit through which God's redemptive plan would ultimately be realized. One of the most significant examples of this can be found in the life of Abraham, another direct descendant of Seth. Abraham is renowned for his unwavering faith in God and his willingness to follow the divine call, even when it led him to leave the comfort and security of his homeland. It is through the lineage of Abraham that the promise of a Messiah, the one who would redeem humanity and restore the broken relationship between God and his creation, would eventually be fulfilled. The story of Abraham's journey, his covenant with God, and the birth of his son Isaac, all find their roots in the faithful legacy of Seth. As we continue to trace the lineage of Seth through the pages of the Bible, we see that his descendants played a pivotal role in the unfolding of God's plan for the salvation of humanity. From the prophets who foretold the coming of the Messiah to the faithful remnant who preserved the knowledge of the one true God, the influence of Seth's righteous lineage can be seen woven throughout the tapestry of biblical history. It is in this context that we can truly appreciate the profound significance of Seth's role in the story of humanity's survival. While his brothers Cain and Abel may have captured the public's imagination with their dramatic confrontation, it is Seth and his descendants who ensured that the light of God's truth would never be extinguished, even in the darkest of times. Indeed, the very survival of the human race can be traced back to the faithfulness and obedience of this often overlooked figure. Without Seth's willingness to walk in the ways of the Lord, to preserve the knowledge and worship of the divine, the world may well have been consumed by the darkness that threatened to overwhelm it. As we reflect on the life and legacy of Seth, we are reminded of the power of faith, the resilience of the human spirit, and the unwavering love and guidance of God. In a world that often seems consumed by darkness, Seth's story stands as a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming adversity, the light of God's truth can never be extinguished. In the end, the story of Seth is not just the story of one man, but the story of an entire lineage, a lineage that played a crucial role in the preservation and redemption of humanity. It is a story that challenges us to reflect on our own lives, our own relationship with the divine, and the legacy that we will leave behind. For in the life and legacy of Seth, we see the power of what can be achieved when we surrender our lives to the will of God, when we commit ourselves to the path of righteousness, and when we strive to be faithful stewards of the great trust that has been placed in us. It is a story that reminds us that even in the darkest of times, even when the world seems to be falling apart around us, there is always hope. For if Seth and his descendants could weather the storms of sin and temptation, and emerge as the instruments through which God's plan for the redemption of humanity was fulfilled, then surely we, too, can find the strength and the courage to face the challenges that confront us. In the end, the story of Seth is not just a story of the past, but a story that continues to resonate with us today. It is a story that challenges us to reflect on our own lives, our own relationship with the divine, and the legacy that we will leave behind. And it is a story that reminds us that even in the face of the greatest adversity, the light of God's truth can never be extinguished.